Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. It's Tom here today, and we're speaking to Harry from City Xtra. How's it going, Harry? All right?
I'm not bad, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. It seems like the news of Fabian Delph coming to Everton is pretty imminent due to widespread sources. So we just thought we'd have a little chat with you, see what kind of player he is and what you think of him from his time at Man City and stuff like that. So what's he been like during his time at City?
It's been incredibly hit and miss, in my opinion. A lot of people would probably disagree or agree, really. In the season where we won the league with 100 points, he was pretty crucial because we had Mendy, who's injured 8 months of the year, and Alexander Zinchenko, who's a centre attacking midfielder and under 20 playing left back. So we needed someone who was older and more experienced with Premier League football to step into that position and sort of step up, and he did, and I'll always be grateful for that. But since then, he's just not good enough for what we need. He was good enough to fill the gap, and he's one of the most versatile players I've seen, but he's just not got that quality to keep us at that high level anymore. He's not one that I think, if someone needs to come off and we need a substitute to make a difference, I wouldn't put him in the top 10 players to bring on. Really.
That's a shame. What we say about when he moved to left back, but obviously he was signed as a central defensive midfielder under strange circumstances from Aston Villa. I think he committed his future to the club publicly, and then the next day he signed for City. So that was a bit of a strange one. But what do you think his best position is at City? Since he's played a lot of left back, obviously, but he was signed as a defensive midfielder. So what is his best position, do you think?
I think it is central defensive midfield. I think the only obviously I'm not a football manager like Guardiola is, and from the outside it just looked like he picked Delph to go left back because he's left-footed. But obviously he must have seen something in training that suggested he could have played there. But centre defensive midfield, because he is technical and he's a good passer of the ball and he can dribble with it. And I think a bit wasted at left back. But then I look at Everton's team and I think you've got Digne at left back, who's one of the best full-backs in the league, and then you send defensive midfielders. Is it Gay?
Yeah, Gay and Gomez, yeah, Schneiderlin as well.
He's not as good as, well, Schneiderlin's debatable, but Gomez and Idrissa Gay, he's just not as good as them, I don't think.
So he won't find his way in the team in Everton, which is interesting. But there have been reports of Idrissa Gay being linked with PSG. There's been, in January, his head was turned a little bit, and he had a little bit of a spell out the team. And obviously, I wouldn't blame him for wanting to go to PSG. He's of an age where he's probably about in his prime at the moment, and he's earned the move. And obviously a French-speaking player, it'd be a dream for him. But there's been talk of Delph perhaps replacing Gay. He's not the same type of player, though, I don't think. Do you think he could replace Gay, or do you think kind of Gay, what we've seen from him is tenacious midfielder, running around, getting in the tackles? Is Delph that type of player?
To be fair, I'll give him that. He doesn't back out of anything. He's incredibly vocal. I think you're right. You are looking at two completely different kind of players, because Gay's your typical hard-hitting centre defensive midfielder who will pull on your shirt for 50 yards to get the ball off you, and he'll follow you around for an hour and annoy any player who's man marking. And Delph's more, he'll get the ball passed into his feet, he'll take a couple of touches and then pin a ball 30 yards. They're two different players, but it just depends what Everton's vision, I think, is for where they want to move their team and what style of football they want to play. Because if you're going for dispossession and hard hitting, I think you can't go wrong with Gay, and I think he's a really good footballer. But if you're looking for that fast passing play, which I think you might be, because Andre Gomez is a great signing and he's a great footballer, and you can tell that from him playing one season with Everton. So I think him and Delph playing could be interesting, because the two technically good midfielders, I think.
Yeah, I can see them spraying out 40-yard passes all over the place. But going back to something you said about him being vocal as well. Something that our lads have picked out quite a bit. on Twitter, the Evertonians have said about watching that brilliant documentary which was on Amazon Prime about Manchester City, All or Nothing. And they said that Fabian Delph particularly stood out in that documentary to be particularly vocal. And there's not really a prominent captain at Everton at the moment. It's kind of like we've got a few possibles. We've got Seamus Coleman, who's up there, but he's maybe not getting to his twilight years, and then Leighton Baines is also already well in his twilight years, and Tom Davies too young to be a captain so far. We're looking to perhaps sign a captain, and do you think Delph could be? Has he got the captain, like the leadership qualities to be a captain at Everton? Do you think?
I do, yeah, I do. I think he's, as I said, there's a few games where I've been for lower cup games where I've been moved down to the first tier, right near the touchline. And he's one of the voices you can hear all the time, shouting at everyone. And it doesn't matter if someone like Company, who's quite obviously a superior player to him, both technically and as a captain. He didn't seem bothered to tell people exactly what he thought and what was going wrong. And I think if Everton are looking for someone to step up to take the reins of captain, I think he could be a very good shout, actually. Now that I think about it, he might do the job in that sense. And you get these arguments that captains need to be technical players, but I think if a player's dedicated to a club and likes the club and likes the job they're doing, and I don't think there's any problem with any sort of player being captain if they show those qualities, and that's what Delph is. I was gonna say he's dedicated and loyal, but the Villa thing kind of throws that up in the air a little bit for me. But yeah, I don't know. I do think he possesses those qualities, and if that's what Everton are looking for, I can see that being a reason why they'd go for a player like Delph.
Yeah, and see, I think he's probably found his level at Everton. I think he was a little bit too good for Aston Villa, not out of disrespect for them, but maybe as well not quite good enough for Man City to make it in the first team in the starting 11 regularly anyway. But maybe at Everton he'll probably find his level. Hopefully, anyway, that's what seems to have happened with a few players we've got off top six sides in the last few years. So hopefully that'll happen. But the price tag that's been thrown around his name has been reported to be about 8.5 million, with maybe 1.5 million add-ons as well. Which seems the reaction for that among Evertonians was definitely go for it. I think the initial reaction of Everton signing Fabian Delph was a bit like it was quite negative, but when that price tag was thrown around, it turned things around completely, and everyone thought that's a steal for Fabian Delph. Do you think that's a fair price tag for a player of his quality?
I mean, when in the modern world of football, when you're looking at 45 million for Lewis Dunk and 80 million for Harry Maguire, and then a player who's a Premier League winner, FA Cup winner, League Cup winner, Community Shield winner, I don't think you can ever go wrong in the current climate of the financial side of football with 10 million quid. And I know that sounds ridiculous because 10 million quid is a lot of money, but it's not anymore in football. That's like a championship level amount of money nowadays.
Yeah.
And when Everton will have made easily 10 million off just shirt sales last year, so to think you can get a proven Premier League centre defensive midfielder for 8 million quid and then pay a little bit more in a couple of years, I don't think anyone can argue that. Because if you've not got a skin owner, so if you try Delph and it doesn't work, you could easily sell him to a championship side for like 5 million, and you've only lost a little bit. But I don't think you can go wrong with spending 10 million on a proven player like that, really.
Yeah, I was surprised about the price tag, to be honest. I thought usually with other sides, they'll hold out for a little bit more off Everton because they know we've got obviously Farhad Bashiri, the billionaire owner, so they'll go for a little bit more money off Everton. But Man City seem to be massively respectable for that, so we're made up with that price tag. To be honest, I think it's a no-brainer for most fans for that price tag. So we spoke about some of his strengths as well, but what are some of his weaknesses to look out for?
He's a little bit dopey. He's susceptible to losing possession when he doesn't need to. It's like the thing is with City, it's fast football. It's 2 touches on the ball and it's moved across the defence within 5 seconds of the left back getting it. It's to the right back, and he'll take a touch and then take another one and then take another one, and it's like the players are sort of stood there like, "Where are you going to pass it or not?" And then that's one of his weaknesses. I'd say the other one is just his awareness is a bit not there. Obviously, I don't know if you remember the derby. Was it last season or the season before, the Centurion season, where he just fell asleep and Rashford just ran in behind him and just knocked it in the bottom corner.
Yeah.
And you don't really get that with any of our other players. They don't really fall asleep like that. And he did. And I've seen it a few times. But I'm very critical of him, and I have been for a while now. But in hindsight, I don't think he's just not good enough for our standard of football, and I don't think he's ever done anything that's absolutely warranted me to say he's a horrendous footballer, because he's not.
Yeah, he's good, and he's good enough, to be fair, to make it into Gareth Southgate's England team. He's a regular in the England team, and I'm sure Gareth Southgate sees something in him to give him such opportunities when he's maybe not even in the City team. He's still getting in the England team quite regularly and getting those opportunities because of his versatility more than anything, and maybe that's what Everton are signing him for. He's definitely one of the more versatile players in the Premier League of a higher quality. So I think maybe that's what he's signed for. But do you think he'll kind of be in the starting 11 at Everton next season, or do you think he'll kind of be a squad player, like a little bit like he was at City?
I think to be so far along in the transfers, I think Delph is the type of character where he'll be moving because he wants first team football, and I don't think he'd be going to a club if they hadn't promised him that.
Yeah.
I don't think he'd be going to Everton unless your board and the manager and the owner had said, "We're going to buy you," and he'll have gone, "Are you going to give me first team football?" And he'll have wanted a guarantee about that. So I think if you're buying him, you will have plans to start him. I think he'll be a regular starter. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds a bit like obviously we've had a few cases of buying players from the top 6 and kind of trying to find the level at Everton in the last few years. One of them that stands out for me is Theo Walcott, and I think he's got a game when he perhaps shouldn't have in this season, especially when he's been out of form. He carries on being played by Marco Silva, leading some to question whether he's got a clause in his contract about games played and appearances made in starts and things like that. And maybe Delph might demand a similar kind of clause. If that's the case, then that'll be interesting to see whether he's played out of form, because I don't like that kind of clause. I think anything can happen in football, and if a player is out of form, whoever they are, they should be dropped, no matter what the contract is. But it'll be interesting to see something like that anyway. But yeah, do you think you'll be sad to see Delph go when he in the next few days, hopefully, when he does join up at Everton?
I don't think I'll be sad to see him go. I think I'll have fond memories of the season where he was great for us and he helps us win the league. But I think in football there comes a time when a player isn't suited to a setup anymore, and I think it's time. Like, you can't hold on to nice memories. You need to favour, this is the future and this is what our plan is, and this person doesn't fit it, so it's time to. And that, I think that's probably why Kompany left as well. He saw that he was getting older. We had a plan for the future of our average age. This last season, from when we first got Guardiola, dropped about an average of 4.5 years or something. Yeah. So I think it's time. It's time for Delph to leave. He's had a very good run with us, and he'll know that, and he'll think the signing. Obviously, we signed Angelino, who's a left back. That's one of his positions filled. We signed Rodri, who's a CDM. That's one of his positions filled. He'll have looked at that and gone, "There's no space for me here. I wasn't getting played last season. It's time for me to go." And I think the feeling's mutual that it's the right time. I think, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think he can revive his career? Not to revive his career, but kind of like revitalise his career at Everton?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I think I've been saying for a few years that if players want, young players or older players or middle ground, Everton's the perfect club to go to, because I think you're just outside that top 6 and you're pushing for it every year. And I think with the right few signings, I think top 6 is 100% doable, and I think that Delph is one of those players that will just add that versatility and that extra squad depth that you need to sort of proper hound for that top 6, depending on what United do, obviously, and how bad they're going to be this year.
Pretty bad, hopefully for both of us anyway. I think if any place in the top 6 is up for grabs, it's definitely theirs after an average manager and some pretty interesting signings, but it'll be interesting to see how they got on next year as well. But thanks a lot for speaking to us about Delph. That's a very good insight, and thanks a lot for watching, everyone. Make sure you give Harry a follow on social media as well. We've got a tag underneath. And thanks a lot for joining us today. Cheers.
Cheers, mate. See you later.
And thanks a lot for watching the Toffee Blues. Join us next time. Like the video, comment of what you think of the signing of Fabian Delph below in the comment section, and subscribe to Toffee Blues. Thanks for watching, and join us next time.